What's this? A real challenge? You've finally caught my attention. A fellow exile. One more fool under Zana's sway. Allow me to destroy you before she has a chance to betray you, too. At least, my way will be quick. You slew my friends. You brought ruin to my world. You have invaded my very sanctum. I should be furious, and yet I feel nothing. How boring and small. Destroying you is as easy as flicking a pest. Did you really think this would work? I transcended all this long ago. Feel the thrill of
the void. Why run? What's the point? Your lives are meaningless. Watch UT crumble.
Impressive. But now you will fight on my lands. You assumed I share the same weakness as my fellows. And now you come to me. Is it bravery or foolishness? You will long for
Non-existence. Reign of stars. Everlasting fire. Glorious flames. Be silent.
tested you, my brother. Now let's see what God has to say. I've dealt with far darker shadows than you, exile. I exiled an animal. Now you almost resemble a man. Garrowing. I offered the gift of exile, and you used it to reinvent yourself. I couldn't wish for a more potent instrument. It is woman's purpose to tempt and try the will of man. Welcome to the greatest of arenas, duelist. God is watching. You'd bite the master that called you here, witch? This world is an illusion, exile. It is time you saw what real sacrifice is. The touch of God! Exile has tested you, my brother. Now let's see what God has to say. I've dealt with far darker shadows than you, exile. I exiled an animal. Now you almost resemble a man.
Hey guys, welcome to another little video, and in this one I'll be showcasing the build that I'm currently playing, and probably, well, not probably, but for sure the best build that I made this league, and 100% it is one of my favorite builds. It is better than the CoC Ice Nova, it is better than the bleed deli. And why is it better? It is better because its clear speed is absolutely insane, right? Its survivability is very good, except I don't have corrupted blood as my only weakness. And yeah, it's a deadeye, it's very zoomy. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, let's start with the ascendancy. Actually, no, let's start with the skills. This is a cast on crit, freezing pulse, ice spear, deadeye. As you can see, we have a bow with socket gems are supported by level 20 cast on crit. This allows us to socket 6 gems into the bow, basically giving us a pseudo 7 link, right? But we're using 2 triggers, which is freezing pulse and ice spear, and we'll get into that in just a minute. Okay, for the ascendancy we went for deadeye because we want the skills change 1 additional time, which is very good, and the projectile have a 30% chance to chain off terrain, which is very fun. If you play this, and you'll just see freezing pulses coming back to you, chaining off walls and stuff like that. It's just really cool. And skills fires 2 additional projectile. This is amazing. It gives us so much more damage. It is like a no-brainer to go this ascendancy. Tailwind for speed and action speed, and then focal point to get even more damage. Okay, so that is why we went deli. Okay, let's go into the gear. Okay, the main weapon is a spine bow because it has the highest base crit. It is a shaper and warlord base. And how do you craft this? You craft this by awakening orb being level 20 cast on crit with skills fire an additional projectile from the conqueror, right? Now, ideally, you will want to have another suffix, and then you can block the third suffix, and then you have another suffix, and then you craft cannot roll attack modifiers. Let me show you real quick. So attack modifiers is a suffix, you block it, and then you basically slam, you exalt slam, not influence slam, not nothing, just exalt slam, and you have a chance in 1 and 3. You either get damage penetrates elemental resistances, you get +1 to socketed gems, or you get cold as extra fizz is extra cold, I mean. And why is that good is because you can remove the fizz is extra cold and you just slam again, and until you get the damage penetrates elemental resistances. Hopefully you get a T1 like I did, and then you get the +1 of socketed gems. Okay, cool. So that's the prefixes. In the suffixes we have skills fire an additional projectile and crit. You can go for crit chance with critical strike chance if you've killed recently, or you can go with the crit multi combined and stuff like that. For the last suffix, you can either go with increased attack speed crafted with quality like I did, or you can just augment speed, or if you're lucky enough to get a good speed mod, then you can keep it. But the ideal one is the shaper mod with attack speed and chance to deal double damage. Okay, for the quality enchant, it is up to you. If you can cap your accuracy without this enchant, it's great. If not, just get it, okay? It's gonna help you in the long run. Right, so let's go to the gloves. The gloves is just a simple finger silk glove with the temple mod with cold res and increased damage with hits against chilled enemies. Then you can craft it you can buy the base. You can get, let me show you. You can buy the base like, what is it? Like this, you can buy it for about 2 to 3 exalts. What you do is imprint and regal until you get something good, okay? And then you just craft from there. You craft your accuracy if you need, your resists, and then you just slam a warlord prefix. And hopefully you get something that you can work with. Spell damage is augmentable because you can just augment caster, and then if you do prefixes cannot be changed and slam again, an exalt slam, not an influence slam, you either get damage over time, sadly, like I did, or you can get additional frenzy. So yeah, this is like a craft whatever you need kind of glove, okay? Okay, for the boots, it is a redeemer and shaper base. We got elusive, movement speed, life, cooldown recovery rate, so our freezing pulse and ice spear just trigger that much more often, and the missing resistances that we need. If you want to go really fast, I would use a elevated onslaught mod with cooldown recovery and elusive. That's what I would go, but then you would have to figure out how to cap your resistance elsewhere, okay? Okay, for the quiver, we have a simple shaper quiver with the spike pointed arrow quiver with bow attacks fire an additional arrow, which is great. Life, fire damage to attacks. This is only so we can proc our Cinder Swallow, okay? Nothing special there, just to proc Cinder Swallow. And then res, crit multi, and very important, the crafted suffix increase global critical strike chance and chance to gain frenzy on critical strike. This makes it so we don't need a frenzy mod on our chest, okay? Very useful. For the ring, it is a shaper and elder ring, very important. For the elder ring, you either want crit multi, which I don't have yet, I'm still in the process of getting it, or life gained for each enemy hit by your spells. And otherwise you want life, chance to freeze or the cold prefixes from the Shaper mod. Non-channeling skills have -X to mana cost, so you can get your mana cost as low as possible. Cold damage, spell damage, crit strike chance. I crafted this with a essence of cold damage, and then I just spammed that until I got what I wanted. Okay, cool. The other ring, it is a Shaper and Redeemer, which curses enemies with frostbite on hit. This is very important because this is our third curse, and I'll get that in a minute. This is huge damage. Okay, so what you want is life gain for each enemy hit by your spells. The Redeemer or Shaper mod with cold damage against shield or frozen enemies. Res and accuracy. Good. Yeah, the chest piece is a double elevated awakened chest piece, obviously, with elevated explode, additional curse, elevated crit strike chance for spells, and power charge on crit. And life, of course. You don't need this. You can just go for the simple explode and attacks have base chance to crit. That will work just fine. Okay, this is like a luxury item. You don't really need to go the extra mile. If you do, congrats. If not, it will work just fine. Okay. Okay, for the helmet, we are using a Asenath's chant. You don't need to have it influenced. This is like just a thing that I had that I really wanted to have influenced. Yeah, you don't need to be influenced. It could be just a normal Asenath's chant. For the enchant though, Berserk has a 30% increased buff effect. It is by far the highest DPS increase that we can get from an enchant. No freezing pulse damage, no ice spear damage, no additional projectile from ice spear. Berserk has 30% increased buff effect. It is the highest DPS enchant. Do you need it? No. Do you want it for min-maxing? Yes. So again, you don't need it, but it is the best enchant. You can get it probably like freezing pulse damage or ice spear fires additional projectile. It will work just fine. Amulet, it is a double influence redeemer and hunter. You can see it allocates Whispers of Doom. This is how we get our third curse. So we got Frostbite, Elemental Weakness, and Sniper's Mark. That's how we get our 3 curses. So yeah, the amulet, it is very difficult to craft. I invested a lot of money into this. I do not recommend it. There are some for like 20-30 exalts, I think. If you want to go the extra mile to get the mana regen, I would highly recommend trying to buy it instead of crafting it, because it is not easy to craft. But if you do want to craft it, how I did it is I awakened the all intelligence skill gems with the hatred has reduced mana reservation, and then I blocked my suffixes with crit multi, mana regen, and then basically I augmented cold and add cold until I got the +1 to all +1 level to all cold skill gems. It is very hard to hit. In my case, you could be lucky and get it on the first try, who knows. But for me, it costs like about 20x just to remove add, okay? So it depends on your budget. If you want to buy it, buy it. If you want to craft it, good luck. I wish you all the best. For the belt, now for the belt we have 2 choices. We either have a crafted Stygian Vice or a Headhunter. If you want to go the Stygian Vice route, I have this one right here with the enchant of 30% increased accuracy while you have Onslaught. This is really good because, as you can see, we're 99% chance to hit. If we pop our flask, we're at 100% chance to hit. It's kind of like a pretty fancy way to get accuracy. And to craft this, you want to awaken all the increased damage with hits against shield enemies with the increased elemental damage, and then you craft your suffixes, all chaos, all caster, all attack until you get what you want, and life and stuff like that. Okay, so that's about for the gear. For the flask, we have Osiris Promise, Dying Sun, a Quicksilver Flask, Ball of Faith, and Cinder Swallow. If you do not have a Corrupted Blood, please ditch this and use Remove Bleeding Flask. it will save you a lot of deaths. I died a lot of times to corrupted blood because I was greedy. Don't be like me, okay? Okay, cool. And for the links, let's go to the links. So in our main weapon, we have our Freezing Pulse and Ice Spear linked with Divergent Tornado Shot. Why Divergent is because 10% increased attack speed. Linked to Awaken added cold damage. This is very important because it gives +1 of supported cold skill gems, which is massive. Linked with Anomalous Inspiration. Anomalous Inspiration is increased critical strike chance, which is very good, if especially on a dead eye, because we're not an assassin. We don't have that much of a crit chance, and we don't have that many power charges. And Awaken added Awakened Cold Pen. These are I think, in my opinion, they are the best gems to have. I tried with Hypothermia, but it just fell flat against Cold Pen. Okay. And because we have SNS Chant, this triggers, you see, Hydrosphere, you see our curses popping up like that. This is from SNS Chant. Every time you attack, it says right there, trigger a socket spell when you attack with a bow. So we have our Hydrosphere, we have Sniper's Mark, Frost Bomb, and Ellie Weakness. These are our triggers in the helmet that go off every time we attack. Okay, in the chest we have our Aura setup, we have Summon Scatterbots for the shock, very important. Summon Ice Golem, this is like whatever, you can replace it. If you find a way to save up more mana, you can replace Summon Ice Golem with Bone Chill, and this will affect your Scatterbots and Herald of Ice. But if I put that in, I won't have enough mana, so I can't do that yet. So yeah, Summon Scatterbots, Summon Ice Golem, Hatred, Enlighten 4, Clarity 1 for our Watcher's Eye, we'll get to that in a minute, and Herald of Ice. In our gloves we have Val Righteous Fire, Divergent Precision, it's only just level 1 for a little bit of 2% increased damage and crit chance and accuracy. You could level this further if you got the mana. We have a level, well, this should be a level 4 enhance, so we can get most of our Berserk. And also Berserk here, like I said. In the boots we have Dash, Arcane Surge, Cast when damage taken, and Immortal Call. Now, you can see that I am always on 50 rage. How do I do that? Very simple. We use a Lethal Pride Jewel with a Koya. The number does not matter. I repeat, the number does not matter. It just has to be of a Koya, so you can get Chainbreaker. Okay? That is it. What does Chainbreaker do? Chainbreaker is regenerate 3 rage per second, increase and reduction to mana regeneration, and instead applied to rage regeneration rate. Pretty simple, yeah? This is why we have this amulet. So basically we can keep 50 rage up all the time. Cool. So as you can see, I can pop Berserk, and it takes a little bit until my rage actually starts to dwindle. Like now it's beginning, see? But during that we have huge attack speed, huge damage, huge everything, right? And we're off. And then when it stops, it goes back up. This is by far the best by far the best time we can use here. And that's why we have Divergent Berserk, because Divergent Berserk, the quality buff grants more spell damage instead of attack damage. Very important to have the Divergent one. I know it's expensive, but I promise you it is worth it. Oh yeah, and the jewel inside the Stygian is a crit multi with strength and life. Nothing too fancy. Okay, so we talked about the flask, the gear. Okay, let's hop into the skill tree. So it is pretty much your basic deli, kind of, sorta, maybe, skill tree. You take these for the mana regeneration, for the life and stun avoidance. You take here all the life, the wind dancer. We take flash freeze for the cold damage, projectile speed, chance to freeze, and effect of cold elements. Very nice. And then we path all the way here. We take our frenzy. We take the crit multi. We take acro and phase acro, and then we take our jewel. We path all the way up here to the assassin part, and then we take another cluster. We take throat seeker, Snowforged, and as many jewel sockets as we can on the way. Okay, let's talk about the jewels. So, jewels, like I said, Little Pride, Akoya, number does not matter. Watcher's Eye, this is a very expensive Watcher's Eye actually. It's critical strike chance while affected by hatred and 50% increased mana recovery rate while affected by clarity. This is why we have a level 1 clarity, okay? Good. If you want to go like a more budget version, I would probably recommend getting the crit strike chance while affected by hatred. Just to help you get crit capped, okay? Good. For our clusters, we have 2 clusters, Blanketed Snow, Distorting Display, and Prismatic Heart. These are the best nodes to give you the most damage and survivability, because a Disorientating Display, 10% chance to blind nearby enemies when using an elemental skill. We use Freezing Pulse all the time, pretty cool. And for the mediums, we have a Master of Fear, Wish for Death. Enemies you curse are unnerved, and you have Culling Strike against cursed enemies, so that way we don't need Culling Strike on gloves or any other part, okay? And over here we have Eye to Eye and Repeater, just projectile damage and attack speed, projectile damage and stuff like that, pretty good. We have a Basis of Pain with Pressure Points, critical strike chance have 5% chance to deal double damage, increased flat increased damage, crit strike chance, and another Repeater and Eye to Eye. So those are our cluster jewels. For our normal jewels, we use crit multi, life, and some resistances if you need. The ideal and most OP jewels that you can get for this build is something like, I don't think I have one even. Yeah, I don't have one. But basically it's kind of like this. It is life, crit strike multiplier with cold skills, global crit strike multi, and instead of fist damage over time multi, you just get critical strike multiplier for spells. Triple crit multi, 1 life. They are very expensive, probably not worth it because we do enough damage as it is. And yeah, I have some of these jewels like this: life, crit multi with cold skills, global crit multi, critical strike multi with cold skills, global crit multi, life, stuff like that. So basically I'm going with the 1 or single crit multi node. This one needs an aug crit. Basically how you craft these is either in your harvest you spam reforge crit. It shouldn't be that hard to find. I actually found quite a lot. I even managed to craft a few backups. Where are they? Crit multi for spells, global crit multi. This one just needs to reforge, keep suffixes, and stuff like that. Okay, cool. So we talked about the jewels, we talked about the skill tree. That's about it. Let's hop into POB real quick. Like you can see here, our freezing pulse damage is ridiculous, 8.7 million per freezing pulse, and we fire a lot of projectiles, and they shotgun. Also, if you stay close to the target, they overlap and they just destroy shit, okay? So as you can see, this is the gear we have right here. I have a headhunter. Wait a minute, let me put in the Stygian Vise just so you can see that actually a Stygian Vise is more damage. We add the Stygian Vise, bam, 9.6 million, just like that. But we need to add this because I'm low on strength. There we go. And just like that, we're almost at 10 million damage per freezing pulse. I do recommend the Stygian Vise because it gives you a lot more damage and some life and, you know, chance to cap out your resistances if you didn't do it already. For the bandits, we took 2 passive points. Taking a Lyra is probably worth it, but then you would have to ditch like some life here. Well, that depends all on you. If you think 8% life is worth it, then maybe go with a Lyra. I went with the 2 passives anyway. Good. So these are our items that I listed over there, the jewels, everything. The POB will be linked in the description. And let's hop into the configuration. As you can see, no cheese as always, just power charges, frenzy charges, which we have all the time, okay? Inspiration charges, tailwind from our ascendancy, elusive from our boots, consecrated ground from our flask. Is the enemy ignited? Yes, because we have fire damage on our quiver. Is the enemy shocked? Yes, from our skitterbots. Is the enemy unnerved? Yes, from our cluster jewel. Is the enemy on consecrated ground? Yes, again from our ball of fate. Sirus DPS 9.8 million. This is probably the best build I ever made. And watch this. You thought that was it, but wait, there's more. Ice Spear deals 28.6 million damage. Yeah, 28.6 million damage. Nutty, isn't it? So you combine the 28 with Freezing Pulse, another 10 is basically like almost 38 point something, 40 million DPS on a bow build, cast on crit, Deadeye, 40 million DPS. That is absolutely insane. Without taking into consideration that Hydrosphere is doing another 500,000 just like that. You know, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Yeah, so like I was saying, hold on, let me just fix this. Okay, Freezing Pulse. So I was thinking about the Ascendancy, this one, yeah. This one alone is very huge because it has 75% increased effect of your marks. Basically, our sniper's mark is insane. So yeah, that should be the POB. I think that should be everything. If I missed something, feel free to let me know. I stream about almost every day now on twitch.tv/Dante00151, link in the description. Feel free to drop by. It will be really cool to see some people from YouTube actually drop by and say hi. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a like, leave a comment if you think I missed anything or if you have any questions. Hop on the Discord if you have questions. I am probably easier to reach there. Once you join, just DM me and I'll give you all the permissions that you need, okay? Again, thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this build as much as I do. I hope this makes you want to try the build, because in my opinion it is highly worth it. It is so much fun. Anyway guys, again, thanks for watching, have a great day, and as always, stay safe boys.